Hey everybody, this is Aaron the Pedantic. Like I said a couple days ago, I was wanting to dispel some myths about DCC that get proliferated. This one is not exactly a myth, this is just purely preferential. So basically, a lot of times people say that the tables of DCC are way too cumbersome, and it's one of the things that makes them not want to use the system as it's written. I will tell you that this can be true depending on your preferences. If you're wanting to run a game that has very little slowdown whatsoever, where you really rarely have to reference things very often at all, then I would highly suggest something that's BX oriented, something close to it. But if you are willing to have a bit more of reference as something that you're going to incorporate in your game, then DCC is phenomenal. So if you're not wanting to do that, then what I highly recommend, if you still like DCC the way that most of the system works, then I would recommend that you just maybe try and find ways, just talk to your players ahead of time and say, I really like the way that everything in this game works, but for the sake of trying to keep momentum in the game, I would like to basically improvise the effects on the spell rolls, the criticals, the fumbles, all that kind of stuff, and I want to make sure that's okay with y'all. And if you were to do that, then I would highly recommend that you take the time to understand, the tables, just from a design standpoint, what they're trying to do. And basically what is the highest result you could possibly get, period, when what is the lowest result you could get, and just try and understand the gradients therein, because then you could improvise this in a way that's intelligent and would work well. But that aside, if you are like me and you're willing to have a bit of reference, then there are ways to make this a little bit less painful. Because just sitting there at the table, having the book out and then just constantly flipping can be tedious. There are better ways. And so I just wanted to talk about those. I'm going to start with the biggest one that everyone should probably be aware of that they may not. And that is the Crawler Companion app. So I'm going to show you screenshots because I don't really know how to make it show from my phone, directly onto the screen other than taking screenshots. So this is an app that is available on Android and I believe on iPhone. It is free, and it is made by Purple Sorcerer, who makes a lot of fantastic tools for DCC. We're going to go through quite a few of them. But basically what you should know is that this app right here is really, for the most part, other than a character sheet, all your players need. If they will utilize this app, that's really all they need. So clearly you can see here that there is an option for dice rolling. Some people do not like dice rollers, and I completely understand that. But if for some reason they can't pay for the weird dice, or they can't find them, which there are some rather inexpensive ways to get them that I highly recommend. I think there's a brand called like Guess Who, not like Who Done It, I don't know, Who Something, and they sell them rather inexpensively, but you have to check the packaging and make sure that it has all the ones that you need in it. But other than that, you typically have to order them online, and they can be kind of costly, so it's understandable. But there are dice apps. If you don't like dice apps, then this could be an obstacle, or you may want to use the options in the book that show you how to simulate that. I will show you that in a minute. So it does have a dice roller, just very simple, just click and roll, So additional to that, you have a bit of a more complex way to roll dice. This allows you to put in formulas that you can script in. You can put in scripts like, 6 times of 3d6, so that you can just roll up a character stats real quickly. You can program it to do all kinds of things. If you click the little question mark, then it will show you how to program it, how it works. And if you click the little list icon, it has a history of some that are built in already. and, whatever the last ones that you've done are. So next, this is the criticals. So, all you have to do is click on the critical section, and you can click which chart you're going to be rolling on. And you can basically just roll your crit, and it will pull up the result. Alternatively, and this goes for all of the rollers on here, if you would like, instead, you can go into lookup mode. So basically, you click on the chart, you click what you rolled, and then it tells you the result. And here's an example of that. So, in this case, it says attack punches shattered ribs through lungs. Foe loses 50% of remaining hit points and vomits copious amounts of blood. So, this is stuff straight out of the book. The next thing is fumbles. So same thing, fumbles, you can roll, you can use lookup. There's also, it's more than just fumbles though. This is the whole fumble idea is covered by this. So you have minor corruption, major corruption, greater corruption, generic spell misfire, deity disapproval. All this stuff is in here. So this is, saving you all kinds of page flipping and all that kind of stuff. It is just going to get you the results really quickly. And it's available to everybody who has a smartphone. So again, very, very useful tool. So then you want to look at spells. So you can basically you can roll it. And the way that the rolling is going to work is you basically are going to, put in your modifiers and put in any spell burn that you're doing, and use what action die, just switch which action die you're using. And then you can just roll it, and you have to choose which spell, obviously. You can also do this for turn undead. So that is there. Then you have, whoops, what did I do? All right, I did that. Sorry. So this is the example of a spell result. Just like the other one, it has a lookup mode if you don't want to do the roll. I usually just use lookup mode and have people roll on the table. But, this will show you what happens. Now, some people might say this is a lot of text. I really don't want to have to deal with all this whenever I'm sitting at the table. So you could make that argument, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. Really, you're not going to have a whole lot. It's not a big difference between this and the kind of stuff that you see in AD&D, except for with less fiddly stuff on the top. But as far as the spell description, it's really not any more intense than that. So there is also just references, just general references. So this is the references for combat rules, and you can scroll down and there's more. So you can just look up rules as needed, which is very neat. You can look up the the class specific stuff. So if somebody doesn't know exactly how one of their class abilities works, they can just click it, and then it will give you the text on what exactly you have to do. There is also a notes section. I skipped that because you can just put down some notes, but it also has generators. So with generators, as the name suggests, you can generate 0 level characters, from actually different setting material that's official DCC stuff, or just basic ones, or you could do 46, drop the lowest. If you are a weakling, I'm kidding. Actually, the book does tell you don't do that. You can generate demons, dragons, which is very important. It also has swords. You can generate swords because there are tables for generating all of these things in the book. And, it can take a little while if you do it yourself. This can make it, or you can do it with a click. So very, very awesome. So even for your judges, it's going to be very useful. This is just one of the examples of results for if you roll up a new character. So I just clicked the 0 level one, and then you end up with this halfling chicken butcher, who is, they have rather poor stats, very, very poor stats. This is one of your front ones. Like, you put them in the front because they die quicker, but has a lot of HP. They really kind of lucked out on HP. So they may be a fighter just yet. And, it takes care of all of your stuff. So unfortunately for them, their lucky sign was harsh winter, and they have -2 on all attack rolls. So this one needs to be put out to pasture. Be perfectly honest, because being a halfling, they're kind of bad. Well, I say that no, their luck sucks too much. Kill it, just kill it. That does happen from time to time. But anyway, so that is just, what the crawler companion can do, which I think I've demonstrated is really, really awesome. All right, so next we're going to look at Purple Sorcerer Games, their website. So on the website, they have a bunch of tools. So here you can generate an entire party of 0 levels. So you can do this for, let's say that you're playing a funnel and they all die. Or let's say that you're running a dungeon encounter and you want a dungeon and you want to put in just a party of level 0s, so that if any of the players die, some of the people that they capture could be stand-ins for new characters. Then you can do that. They have it for MCC as well, which is really cool. But it's not just level 0s. You can generate higher level characters. I've used this a lot whenever people die and they're a higher level. I'll probably print like 4 of them and say, pick your favorite. You can actually, so once I go all the way through this list, I'll show some specifics. But again, you got Demon Generator, Dragon Generator, Mercurial Magic Generator, which is really nice because that'll save you the reference time whenever they get a new spell. Sword Magic, Scroll, Unique Monster. So all of these are really cool. I'm not really sure where Unique Monster came from. That might be in the book, but I'm wondering if that was from Monster Alphabet. I kind of doubt it, though. I don't think that would be enough for a generator. I could be wrong, though. There's quite it's segmented in a way. So let's look at the 0. Okay, the 0 party is really pretty simple. It's basically just, you can customize it as you want. You can choose which book you want to pull from. So I could do this for Hubris. Now I can't do upper level for Hubris. You can do more 0 level than you can upper level, because getting all of the upper level info would be a lot of entry. So it would be a lot. It'd be a big task. So Purple Sorcerer has already been carrying a lot of weight, for us. So you can change your dice method for generating. You can specify, no elves, dwarves, or halflings. If you want a less fantastical world in that capacity, you can make it where they're not going to have. Okay, so if I were to put this right here, this would eliminate any character that has, a net total of more like less than a -1 modifier. So I wouldn't have, that character that I just rolled up. That character wouldn't have existed. And you can modify that as you want. You can also weed out the top if you're, really mean. Hit point method, you can change how that's going to work. Lucky sign, even if they don't have a bonus, you can have it show. You can hide it if they have no bonus. I would probably prefer that. And there's some various ways to do it. And this will generate in a PDF form. So you can do it on, a lot of different formats. So let's say I just want it in the standard format with 4 characters, and I can do 50 sheets of them. So that, that's 200 characters I can generate with 1 click. It's a big PDF, but you can do it. You can, put a little tweaks here and there to customize it. So, Demon Generator, you can do pretty much the same thing. So you can have, let's say you want to type 1 and you want 10 of them. So, you can have 10. All right, I hit type 3. I lied. So here you have all of these just instantly generated that you can use. So again, this can save tons of time. Whenever somebody has a new spell, and they need to roll Mercurial Magic to see what their new effect is. If you use Mercurial Magic, which I understand if you don't, But let's say they have a +1 to their mod for luck. And then we're going to have it's just one result because that's all you get. So here you get your results. This is if they get a 74, which is Tide of Ash. So all living vegetative material matter within 10 feet of the spell per spell level is reduced to ash. Vegetative creatures caught within this radius take 1d14 points of damage per spell level. Dead vegetative matter is unaffected. So that is one way to just quickly do that. Same thing with scrolls, sword magic. Again, sword magic in this is pretty intense, just like everything else usually. That one I just rolled a pretty basic one. But that one's just a +1 damage to fire elementals, simple urges, so it'll make you feel things. It's chaotic. It has an intelligence of 4. But you can let's say make it let's say it was made by somebody. Let's say you're making one, because you can make these if you're a high level wizard and you have the right spells. So you could make a really, really good one. So here it has 2 powers, Throwing Blade and Thunder Blade. So this is a 2-handed sword that can throw up to 20 feet. It's got empathy, so you can feel their feelings. It can communicate that way. Additional damage bonus to men. It's still chaotic. For some reason, I keep on getting chaotic. So as you can see, there's just a lot of really cool stuff you can do with this. Dragons. Dragons are going to be pretty intense in this. So we're just gonna do an average dragon, just to give you an idea. So just one dragon. So as you can see, they have a lot going on with them. And they're going to be different. So they got magic, they got breath weapon, infravision, hypnotic stare, possesses a powerful magical object up to the judge's discretion, can charm reptiles for once per hour, and can do ventriloquism at will. So this is, and here you have all the stats. So, you get quite a lot of information. This is a red dragon. So, this is a very, very useful tool. But let's say that you don't want to use all this stuff. Then really one of the best things that I would say you can do is just master the book, really. This is going to take longer just by its very nature. But at the same time, this is usually what I do for whenever I'm running the game. I don't use the crawler app too often because I play at my computer. So because I play at my computer, as you can see right here, I can just put in a page number and there I go to it. So I remember that if I have a crit, I can go to 80 and it is almost there. I think it's maybe like 80 something, it might be 88. It's been a little bit since I've run DCC. Maybe let's see. So this is 80. So 80 gets you into combat rules. I think it's 88. Now that I'm putting some more thought into it. Let's see here. Okay, crit table 1. So crit table 1's on 86 on the PDF. Why was I thinking it was 88? 82. On 82 in the book. So what you can do is keep a little reference guide. This is something that I do. So I have a notepad thing, and I often put it in the Discord for the other players, where I'll have, okay, crits are located on this page. You can start on this page. If you want to get to, and plus there's this right here. This is another thing. If you're using the PDF, you don't even have to worry about page numbers. You can just say, well, to a degree. So you can go over here, see chapter 5 magic. I can go down, I can check the mercurial magic chart. So mercurial magic is right there. And then I can go here to look at the chart. Or, you can just remember that it starts on page 115. And you can write it down. So that way I can always just look at my little list, and that's where it's at. Whenever I want to look up corruption, just, minor corruption of a general type, then, it's going to be on page 120 of the PDF or page 116 of the book. Whenever I'm doing spells. So spells is going to be a little bit like, it's like maybe 2 extra steps, because you go to the big one. So you can PDF 131 is where you're going to find your big list of spells. And then they're going to tell you, Which actually, oh, even this. So if you're using the PDF, you can just click on the spell. So, I can just do that. Or I can just write down, and this is something every time someone gets a new spell, they should write down the page number always. That way, if they say, okay, it's on page 137, but you do want to have it ironed down. Is it 137 on PDF or 137 in the book? Because look at this. This is on page 141 in my PDF. So that is basically how you master this. Whenever I talked about using the rolls in a way that is going to be, if you don't have the dice, basically, it should be in this section. No, it's not quite here. It's earlier in the introduction. Maybe it's not. Give me just a second and I will find it. Wait, there it is. Okay, funky dice. So if you ever want to look this up, it tells you how to substitute them. So maybe you don't want to do this. That's perfectly fine. But this is how you do it, because the dice chain, you're using all the way from a D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, D8, D10, D12, D14, D16, D20, D24, and D30. So whenever you want to simulate these ones that you don't have, which is probably the 3, the 5, the 7, the 14, the 16, and the 24 and the 30, which is quite a few. What you can do for a D3 is roll a D6 divide by 2. For a D5, you're going to do 1D10 divided by 2. For D7, D8, and re-roll on an 8. This is just this is something that I often use, even if I am not running DCC, because I like to incorporate probabilities. And sometimes the gap between a D6 of probability and a D8 isn't exactly what I'm looking for. So, I might roll a D7, especially if I'm picking players at random. This is very good for if you want to pick a random player and have something happen to them. Then just roll it, because that way you're being impartial, right? You can find ways to simulate it. It is there. Most of the time, you're not really going to need it. I would say that 90% of the time that I have needed these funky dice are whenever we are doing heroic mighty deeds. So there is something else I wanted to say about mighty deeds before I conclude this. Pardon the phone. So mighty deeds. Mighty deeds are something that some people may get tripped up on, because whenever you look at it, if you read it, it calls for you to improvise. But whenever you do that, whenever you look at that, so it says there's no limit to the types of deeds a warrior can perform. Any situation appropriate specialized attacks should be encouraged. This is to help provide some general framework for understanding. So you don't have to use this chart, this list. This is guidance. And this is not going to incorporate everything that the mighty deeds, that they're going to be able to do. So don't get tripped up on that. If they want to try something and they're a warrior, then just kind of judge, okay, what should I would say that 3 is going to be just something really cool that a starting warrior should be able to pull off. And then once you get to the top end, it's going to be something that only the greatest of warriors, I'm talking like Achilles kind of level of warriors, could be able to pull off. This is just guidance, really. And this is kind of what I was talking about whenever I was saying you may want to consider changing your if all the tables and all that kind of stuff is a turnoff, then you may want to consider just cutting them and just saying, I'm going to improvise these things. What is the general thing that this spell does? Okay, then if you roll low, then I'm going to have it do something like this. If you roll high, I'm going to have it do something like this. There is the danger of losing being partial with it. Just that's just something that happens whenever we're not following a more direct structure. That's why pass fail is really something easy to work with. But whenever you have gradients of success, then or gradients of failure, then a lot of times people can be more partial, and that's something you want to avoid. That's kind of against DCC's creed. So I hope this was useful. I had fun doing it, and just let me know if y'all have interest in anything else like this. DCC is just one of those games that has a lot of tools for it because Purple Sorcerer is a hero among men. So go check out the website. I'll try and put links in the description. All you have to do for Crawler Companion is just look for it in the App Store. And that's it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take it easy.